In this video, I'll be demonstrating a few techniques for formatting a form diagram using Excel. So what I have open here is just a basic Excel spreadsheet in which I've started creating a form diagram. Typically, I use one element per cell. You can see how all these different things are entered into individual cells in the spreadsheet, and this is just the basic data arranged to show the nested structures visually. There's a few things that I can do to clean up this form diagram to make it a little bit easier to read and to prepare it for copying onto another handout, such as insert it into an essay or insert it to any other sort of element there. So first thing that you'll notice is you see how in Excel the default for text is to line everything to the left, but the default for numbers is to line the numbers to the right. It's significantly easier to read form diagrams if everything is aligned to the left. So if you come up here and select the top left-hand corner, this has selected the entire spreadsheet. From here, you can either go to Format Cells, or if you have one of the newer versions of Excel, if you go here and just click on Align Left a couple times, you notice how it moved all of the elements, specifically the measure numbers which had been aligned to right, it moves all of them so that they're now aligned to left. That makes it significantly easier to see how the measures are actually representing the beginning of these sections that I have indicated here. The next thing that I'm going to do is I've noticed that most of my columns are much wider than I need them to be. Now I could go through and manually adjust every single one, but again, it's faster if you just go up and click on that the upper left-hand corner and drag them so that they're all sized just big enough for one of the larger items to fit cleanly without cutting off any of the text. I can click anywhere to deselect that. Now, you notice that even though the content of most of my diagram looks terrific, the far left-hand column is a little bit smushed and you can't see all of the words here. All you have to do at that point is go up here and drag that border back over until you're happy with how that is being displayed. And the same is true if you had, say, one particular problematic column somewhere in the middle. You could resize just that individual one if you wanted to. The next thing I'd like to do is to add lines to make it a little bit easier to read the individual rows and columns of this form diagram. There's a couple ways to do this. One is I could select the individual shapes that I want and come up here to borders and select outside borders and just basically take the time to go around every single box that I want to. That is one option. Another option that I find to be a little bit cleaner most of the time is to actually use the merge cells function. So I can highlight all of these and click merge cells, and it's turned all of that into one big cell. And actually, let me go ahead and add all borders first for this section to show you what this is doing a little bit more clearly. So I've turned this entire stretch that's representing Minuet 1 into a single cell. I'm going to do the same for the section name here. Again, just merge cells. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the subsections. I prefer to keep the cells still aligned to the left. I think it looks better that way, though if you want to merge and center, you can do that. For example, you could use that section there. As long as the line is drawn all the way around that box to make it a little bit clearer what exactly the stretch that you're looking at is, it doesn't really matter so much. And let me fix the alignment on that one cell back to the way I'd like it. All right. And then here, same thing, this particular little minuet stays in the same key throughout, which I've indicated down here. And that's how that works. Now I could do, actually I'm going to go ahead and quickly do the same thing for minuet 2, but it's the exact same procedure. If I wanted to, I can come up here to borders, select all borders, and then basically merge cells until I'm happy with how it looks. So let's merge Minuet 2 together, and then the B section, which is the same as Minuet 2, together, and then the two halves of the binary form. I want to show the first half that ends in measure 32, and the second half that ends in measure 48. And this particular one modulates more frequently. Actually, the first minuet doesn't modulate at all, it just has some half cadences, but the second minuet does modulate. We toggle between G minor and B flat major here, so there's a little bit more work. But again, if you know what you're doing and you're fluent with just knowing where the merge cells function is, it doesn't take that long to have a well-formatted form diagram. So just to review, we basically learned how to select the entire spreadsheet from which you can play with the alignment of any of the items inside each of the cells and adjust the size, the width of each column, or even, the height of each row if you want to do that. But usually I just leave that set to whatever is needed for the size font I'm using. And then you can use a combination of this borders feature and, if you want to, the merge cells function in order to come up with something that clarifies the formatting.